Sekaloth hovered before the spawning pit, staring into the churning waters. Soon the surface of the water broke, and the new spawning of Saurian warriors rose from the depths. The Quadalord reached out with his power and bound the newly forming mines to his service. In response, the Saurians bowed before their master. "Kairot," Sekaloth called out telepathically. "The new spawning is ready. Call my force. The elves are retreating. We must strike against the elves and begin to strip their forces before they reach the safety of their city." "Yes, my master. We shall catch their western flank at the pass of Calris. It will be the best place for our assault." "Very well. Plan your assault. And then step aside. I shall lead my forces personally." "Yes, master. With your wisdom and power against them, the elves shall surely fall." All right, everybody. Got another battle report for you in the narrative. Tonight will be my Saurian Ancients versus Michael's Highborn Elves in a 4,000 point narrative battle. We were intending to do a secondary objective here because I know several of you have asked about it. And then we set up and forgot to roll for it. So no secondary objective this time. We do one on the next game, and I'm going to try to remember, and we'll get more practice at them. But it is what it is. So let's go ahead and get to deployment. All right. Hiding in the trees over there is a unit of 10 Lion Guard with Musician and Standard, and they are skirmishers. Next to that outside is a unit of 10 Highborn Lancers with Musician and Standard. Then we have a unit of 19 Sea Guard with Musician and Standard, and they have the Banner of Speed. Next to that is a Fire Phoenix. Then we have one unit of 10 Knights of Rima with full command and the Stalker Standard. And then we have a unit of 9 Knights of Rima with Prince Thalvictus, his prince with a shield, dragon-forged armor, elven horse, and a lance. And the Sea Guard in the middle actually have his battle standard bearer, Lord Fenry of House Whitethorn. He's a commander with a spear, dragon-forged armor, the master of Kenreg Tower, and a shield, which makes him a apprentice wizard to the lore of Druidism, and he bought 4 spells for that. All right, so on my side, we're going to start on the left here with a unit of 10 Skink Hunters. There is a Skink Priest with an apprentice with 1 spell from Druidism in with them. Next to that is a unit of 20 Saurian warriors with full command. The Serpent Warriors totem, and they have hand weapon and shields. They're my newest core unit. Next to that is a unit of 20 Temple Guard with full command. In with them is Sekaloth, my Quadalord. He is both my general and my standard bearer. He has the Book of Arcane Power. He has Ancient Knowledge, which makes him Pathmaster Divination, and all of the wizards give him bonuses to Divination ranges. And then he also has Wandering Path, which gives him the trait spell from Evocation, and he can generate spells from more than one path. So I'm generating 2 spells from Divination, so I can pick those, and 2 spells from Alchemy. In front of that is a Taurosaur with the Engine of the Ancients upgrade. Then here is a unit of 24 of my Saurian warriors with spears and shields. They have full command and the Serpent Warrior upgrade as well. In front of them is another unit of 10 Skink Hunters. They have a Skink Priest who is a wizard apprentice with 1 spell of Shamanism and a Talisman of Shielding on him because I had extra points. And then holding down my other flank is a Stygiosaur with no upgrades. So, we ended up kind of going back and forth on deployment a little bit, but I had more units left, so with the bonus to go first, the Highborn Elves take the first turn. He's being really cagey here. He doesn't want to get too close, and I don't want to get too close to him, so he moves up those knights just a little bit, and we're going to start a standoff. Over here, he comes on a little stronger because he sees this as my weaker flank. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I would like to think with the way I've got them set up, both my flanks are pretty well balanced. But he also doesn't want to run his Phoenix out too far for fear of the poison shots. So he's being conservative at this point. He ends up getting the Oaken thrown off. I decide to go ahead and let that happen because it evened me up for the rest of his spells. But then I keep forgetting to dispel it, which is going to cause me problems. He does some shooting. The Seaguard there decide to take some shots at my Skinks. He ends up only killing one of them, which is frankly amazing. All in all, though, I probably wouldn't have even bothered shooting at them. They're not going to do much on this side of the board other than maybe cause a traffic jam, and even that's questionable. So, Saurian Ancients turn 1. Yeah, I am no way going to step in the middle of that no man's zone in between his knights. I've got the fence right in front of me, so I'm hoping to hold up on it and just defend myself. The other side, I push up a little bit. I want to see if I can do any of those poisons into his Lion Guard. If not, then maybe I'll be able to get some shots at the Phoenix when he advances it forward. I also did want to push ahead the Taurosaur enough to be a threat. Also, within 9 inches, it starts spitting, like it can choose to spit D3 metal shifting wounds with the Engine of the Gods upgrade. So I'm like just within 9 at this point of the Lancers unit. So I'm just going to try and start killing them off. So we go to Magic. Frankly, I just started throwing Evocation of Souls out just to see what would happen, see if he would try and dice them. I ended up getting the 12-inch aura off, because I figured given the whole army fear is not a bad thing. And then I drop the Molten Copper spell, which is 2d6, strength 2, AP 3 flaming hits. And I don't do very well. I kill one guy out of the unit, which is like, eh. And then I kill one more with the spit from the metal shifting spit from the Taurosaur. So we go Highborn Elves turn 2, and he declares some charges. He charges the Skinks with the Lion's Guard. I choose to flee. He redirects into my Saurus Warriors with the Hand Whip and Shield and doesn't make it. He ends up doing a charge with both the Phoenix and his Lancers at the... No, I think he just did the Lancers at the Taurosaur, which I fled from. And then, or maybe he did both. I think I stood and shot with one with the 5 dudes on the back and fled from the other. But I fled to where you see here. I don't recall if he tried to redirect or not. He probably did, but he ended up failing all 3 of his charges. I still don't know if I want to come out at this point, but because I'm not sure if I can handle those units if they both get into one of mine. So I'm still kind of hesitant. What I do know is I didn't want either of them getting rid of those 2 units, so I think this is a pretty decent flee. And over here, he is not wanting to push it. He just kind of rejiggers his units a little bit, but he's not moving forward. We're both kind of at an annoying standoff here in this open area. Then I stop his magic cold, And then he proceeds to shoot and gets a single temple guard for his trouble. Then we go into my turn, and for the most part here, I rally the two that fled, so no big deal there, and I spread out the Saurian Warriors unit and the Temple Guard unit so that the Taurosaur can get back through. I have the Shaman here hanging out behind that unit now, and I have my Spear guys go and defend the wall. Figuring that I'll need all the bonuses I can get if he does come to get me. And the other skink unit comes running way over here to the side, just to get out of charge range and to try and be an annoyance is really the plan. Also, if he starts to move forward and doesn't succeed it, they're in a position where I can run forward and redirect if necessary. This time we go into magic, and I hit the big 3d6 strength 2 flaming hits, and just do a bunch of damage to the Lancers. They don't go anywhere. And I think the Phoenix took dangerous terrain from charging into the field, maybe? That might be where that came from, because he's flaming attacks. So other than that, not a whole lot goes on. Highborn Elves, he starts bringing the Phoenix over, hoping to get around to my side. And over here, he doesn't move a thing. This side of the game is kind of boring right now, because neither of us wants to step across the line. Because if I move up 1 inch, I abandon the wall, and he's just going to hit me like a truck. And he's afraid that he's not going to be able to get in with both units. And if he's not, he doesn't think he can break me and overrun, so he thinks he's going to hit me, and then I'm going to come into the flank with the Temple Guard, which is 99% likely what would happen if that eventuality came to be. So it's basically just making a no man's land here in the center. He ends up popping, the only spell he gets off is Spirit of the Wood, because I don't care. Then we go to my turn. I go ahead and advance the skink hunters up so they can shoot. And I don't really move anything else. I think my other skinks come up a little bit so they can get within short range to throw their javelins. Sorry for the blurry picture here. During magic, I pop another Molten Copper, but he ends up getting enough armor and ward saves, or just armor saves because he doesn't have a ward, to keep one guy alive, which is stupidly annoying. And again, sorry for the blurry picture, but I popped the Stars Align 12 because I'm thinking he's got to be coming into me at some point. I need the rerolls to hit in combat, so I wanted to go ahead and pop that out because I've got the two other casters close enough where the aura is 12 inches, so I went ahead and did that. And then, during shooting, my javelin chucking poison skinks murder the Phoenix, and then he rolls that it will come back to life. So I, again, accomplished nothing really over there. So we go into Highborn Elves turn 4, the Phoenix comes back to life, and my opponent is in points denial mode now. With only 1 wound on the Phoenix, he doesn't want to run it over here, so he flees it to the back. And then over here, he starts to confuse me. He decides that if I'm not going to stick my head out of my defenses, he's not going to come and get me anyway. So he runs his 1 Lancer way to the back. He's going to try and use his Druidism to get him back up, so I'm not getting any points for that. And then he's going to try and kill the skinks here on the side, I guess, to get what little points he can while keeping me from scoring. I stop him from getting the Summer Growth spell off, but he does get Spirits of the Wood on these guys, which gives them being in a forest plus 1 extra guy because of the attribute. Then he does some shooting over with the volley fire from the Sea Guard, which apparently doesn't take cover penalties even from cavalry. My only question, and maybe you guys can answer this, with the cavalry in the way, would he even be able to see them to shoot? I know they don't take the penalty to cover if it were there, but I would figure since the cavalry are actually bigger than the skinks, that actually might break line of sight, but I'm not sure. But either way, I end up losing enough to cause a panic, but I actually stuck it. Saurian Ancients turn 4. I move up a grand total of about 3 inches on the whole, like, if you combined all the movement that I made. I'm still kind of gun shy with the Lion's Guard from the last time, so I don't really want to come out there too hard. And I certainly don't want to push in, or at least I'm thinking at this point, I don't want to push in on the Knights. But I will tell you, my patience is starting to wear out. This game has gone on for, at this point, about an hour and a half maybe. Maybe an hour. And it's one of the most boring games of any war game I've ever played. So I'm starting to kind of get annoyed here about just not accomplishing anything. And over here I run these guys around just to see if he'll keep spinning on me. And then I pop Evocation of Souls to bleed off some dice because I notice here with that last turn, he put his general's unit flank facing my Quaddlord. So my hope is I can get a big silver spike off, which is essentially a bolt thrower, and if I'm lucky, I could take out like that whole line, or at least one of those ranks, which would be awesome. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. He doesn't buy it, so he lets me get off the Evocation of Souls at 12 inches again. I throw Molten Copper over here, and he even lets me get this off. So I'm like, okay. And I drop 4 of his fellows over here, but he doesn't panic. And then I throw the silver spike. He throws all of his dice to stop it and comes up short. Unfortunately, I don't do great. I only kill 2 of the Knights of Rima. It's something, I guess, but with as little as we're actually interacting with each other, it's not enough, and it's probably really not anywhere close to getting me back the give or take 1,300 points I spent in Magic with all of the stuff I spent. So, Highborn Elves turn 5, still deep in point denial mode. He decides to turn and flee with his Lion's Guard and go hide him in the forest. Hopefully, so he can get. I think what he's planning is he's getting close enough where he can regen them, so that I don't have a chance of getting any points out of them either. Over here, he obviously does not take the bait to keep spinning after my skinks. He does turn the Sea Guard to point at them so he can keep shooting, but his knights go back to facing forward. And then he pops Summer Growth on his unit. This is like the first time during the game that he really got a spell off that he needed because I was stopping him pretty good. But he gets it off, and now the unit is back higher than I'll get points for. And then he managed to pop Spirit of the Woods off on the Phoenix, which also gives it a wound back. I'm still getting points for this, but he's trying to make it not happen. And this is the point where I lose my patience, and I just said, you know what, it's bottom of turn 5, fuck it, and I push everything forward. I'm using the skinks on the right-hand side to keep both of those Rima units out of me, but I'm hoping he just comes and deals with something, because I'm at the point where I want to roll some dice, I want to try and kill something. Though, that being the case, I'm not going to be stupid about it, and I pop the Stars Align on everybody, just to get some bonuses when he does come in. And then I go ahead and use the Toxic Breath weapon from the Stygiosaur and really roll badly. I did 6 or 7 hits, but only wounded with 2 of them needing 4s, so that wasn't great. But 2 of those guys die, so it's something. And then during Highborn Elves turn 6, my opponent still goes the safe route. Rather than bringing his knights into my big units, he obviously has to charge the skinks because he wants to pick those points up. But rather than going at the spear unit, he goes into the Stygiosaur, which I guess is okay, but it's at this point, I'm thinking he's going to hit that guy, overrun. He's obviously going to kill the skinks and overrun, and neither of those units are going to be in my front arc. So he's going to collect a few points and probably enough to just barely edge me out for a victory. And my army that I built for big blocks isn't going to get into combat. So I was kind of annoyed at this particular choice, but I can't blame him because it is the safer way. Then over here, he brings up his units and sends the Phoenix off away from everything. He also backs up his guard here just a little bit. Pay attention to this. He then pops Summer Growth, which again, I can't stop him, so he gets the whole unit of Lion's Guard back. We go into combat. Obviously, he crushes the skinks and overruns out of the front arc of my Saurus. Then this combat happens. He does not kill the Stygiosaur, breaks the Stygiosaur, and then rolls 3 1s on his flee, or on his overrun, or pursuit rather, and does not escape the front arc of the Spearman. The Stygiosaur also escapes. He doesn't. I didn't roll much better, but he got away. This is as close to perfect as this situation is going to turn out for me. And then it gets better. You may be looking at this picture wondering, what the hell happened to the Lion Guard? Unfortunately, the picture of the start of my movement phase was just way too blurry for me to use, so I'll explain what happened. The Taurosaur charges the Lion's Guard. I was figuring I'll hit him, I'll do some impact hits, and then they'll probably butcher him. And then he proceeds to fail his flee check, or his terror check, and flees a few inches, which still leaves him within charge range of my skink, my 10-man skink hunters here. I charge as well. He rolls high on his flee, hits the Phoenix, bounces through the Phoenix, and he doesn't have enough room to sit the unit on, so he goes off the board. So I get that whole 10-man of Lion's Guard, which is just a bunch of points, like 300 points for free. I also redirected you can see it here in the picture, I redirected the Taurosaur into his archers and made that. On this side, these guys just move up for no discernible reason. I think I was forgetting it was turn 6. And over here, I charged the flank of the Saurus Cav, or not the Saurus Cav, the Knights of Rima. My opponent could have probably fled and probably would have escaped, but I think he was kind of sick of nothing happening as much as I was, so he decided to stand and see what would happen. I also think I charged with the my center unit of Temple Guard at the archers as well, but they failed bad, so the Taurosaur ends up hitting them mid-unit. And then I rally the Stygiosaur, so he doesn't even get to kill that. Over here, the Taurosaur just puts a crazy amount of damage into the archers. I kill like half the unit. Unfortunately, he's still got a whole second rank, so he is stubborn and sticks. Manages to inflict a single wound on my Taurosaur at the same time. And over here, I butcher this unit. He manages to kill only one Saurus. The unit breaks, flees, but escapes me. But because it's below 25% and fleeing, I still get full points for the unit. My lord, sound the withdrawal! Lord Fenry shouted, his voice carrying clear across the battlefield. Thal's personal guard stopped, and Thal turned to the voice with a gaze of anger. Though that gaze was soon gone as the prince came to recognize their situation. They would not win this fight, although in truth they didn't need to. This battle was simply to hold back the Saurians from striking into his weakened lines as they escaped, to which they had succeeded. Sound the retreat, Thal called back. His support subordinate quickly began blowing a horn for the forces to pull back. As they pulled away over a nearby hill, the prince faced his would-be pursuers, their leader to be more precise. He wished to see his true enemy, and he wished to make sure the two had locked eyes before quitting the field. My lord? Fenry questioned as his prince sat stoically atop the hill. Do not worry, Lord Whitethorn, Thal smirked. I just wish to know who my adversary is before I obliterate whatever hole he calls home. With that, the prince simply turned his mount and strode off, leaving the commander with an uneasy feeling. He would serve the prince, without question, but he feared what lengths Victus would go to see his enemies laid slain before him. But the true terror was he knew exactly what Prince Victus would do, and how red the world would be before he stopped. Alright, so Saurian Ancients victory, yay, 12-8 is what it came out to be. And the reason why you're not seeing a picture of the battlefield is I forgot to take one. But instead, I'm showing the 150 because this battle report marks my 150th battle report. So I wanted to celebrate that with a little bit of yay! This game sucked. I will be completely honest. I kind of wish we had a better game for the 150th. It was boring as hell. Both my opponent and I were playing way too conservatively for it to really be an interesting game. Neither one of us wanted to risk the encounter because we both kind of packed all of our big stuff in one area. So it was really a case of if one or the other of us had failed, that would have unwound the game. Now, amusingly enough, because we forgot the secondary objective, this is the first game I think I've ever played where I felt like it would have mattered. Normally, the way we play our games, the secondary objectives don't really accomplish anything because the easiest way to prevent your opponent from getting the secondary objective is to obliterate him. But with this game, with us playing so cagey, depending upon what the secondary objective was, it could have forced us out into the middle. Or it could have just made us react differently than the standoff that we had. Thinking of my list, I've spent way more in Magic than I really should have. I like the Saurian, the ability or the Quadalord. And what I was able to do about picking from a couple of different lores is cute, but I don't really think it's worth the points. What I think I might do next time is not take the two disciplines I did and take the one that gives me an extra spell and just go all alchemy and see where that goes. But the other shame is that I was waiting to play this particular build until I finished painting all of the new Saurian models with the hand weapon and shield, and then they did literally nothing the whole game. So both me and Michael were kind of annoyed at just how we ended up playing this game. And I know he got pretty bummed because it was like nothing happening, and because of, in essence, two bad rolls back to back in the panic check for the Lion Guard and the 3 1s on the pursuit roll from the Knights of Rima, I ended up stealing victory from him by the narrowest of margins. So I can certainly see where that would be really annoying. But all in all, sometimes you have games that aren't the best. I guess we'll learn. We'll see. I'm really thinking, like, I did find out something about my opponent's army that I didn't realize. I thought that the Knights of Rima had 2 attacks all the time. That's not true. They only get 2 attacks on a charge, which frankly makes me a little less scared of them, because now I know, okay, I can kind of keep them away if I end up investing more in chaff than I have been. So it gives me some more thoughts as to how to deal with them that won't involve just staying at this stupidly long distance and not actually playing the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this battle report more than I enjoyed playing it. We did get another game in this same night, and I will be having the battle report for that up in a few days. So if you did somehow like this battle, like it, give us a subscribe if you like, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye, everybody.